Hello mis bichos bonitos and welcome. My name is Baggio, aka the Piloncillo Papi, and today I want to talk about historical clothing, specifically of the pre-Hispanic variety. As I've mentioned before, I've been super inspired by these historical costumers that not only recreate clothing from throughout history, but find ways to incorporate them into everyday wear, which I think is amazing. As an illustrator, I've already done a ton of research on what people wore in Mesoamerica, that is Mexico and Central America, before the arrival of Europeans. I think that there's a misconception out there that people only wore loincloths or were naked before the 1500s, before the arrival of the Europeans, and that just isn't true. Looking at contemporary examples of the time, like murals and codices and sculptures and pottery, you see this elaborate array of... Yes, Peque? You see this elaborate array of robes and jewelry and headdresses and chemises. I mean, eat your heart out, Louis XIV. And I thought someone should make these, because a lot of these are really adaptable to the modern day. I mean, we still wear skirts and shirts and chemises and robes in some form or another. And I got impatient, and now here we are. I want to make it clear that there are plenty of examples of clothing that is pre-Hispanic, that is still made and worn today. Faldas and quechquemitls and rebosos and huipiles and guayaberas and huaraches. Yes, Peque. And a lot of these are still being made by the same original communities that made them. A lot of people are surviving off of these, are attempting to thrive off of these, and are also being taken advantage of for these items because they are beautiful but can be bought at a really low cost. That's a whole other thing. I just want to make it clear that these aren't things that I want to try to DIY, and I don't necessarily want other people to try to DIY when we could put that money to supporting the communities that already make it. I will try to link down some organizations and people that I think are doing a good job at that, but in your daily life, if you are looking at buying a sarape or guayabera or huaraches or anything like that, try to buy them handmade. Don't get them if they're made in China. Don't get them from some big corporation, because chances are they're taking advantage of the communities that are trying to continue these traditions. Just a side note, be mindful of what you're buying. That being said, let's look at what I want to make. I want this to be an experiment in practical archaeology. I want this to be an experiment in learning more about the history of my countries and cultures. I want to learn more about how people lived before the Spanish arrived. And one of my greatest inspirations, I think I kind of mentioned it before, but I said Bonampak, it was Calakmul. The murals at Calakmul are these elaborate Maya murals with these gorgeous paintings of everyday people and nobles interacting and eating. They're captioned so you can tell who's who and what's what. I'll bring these pictures up as we go. And there's this one that has always captured my imagination. And it's this woman wearing this blue sheer robe type deal. I don't know what it is, but I can already tell a couple things based on the mural alone. I know that it must be made out of some kind of sheer cotton material. I know that it was probably sewn on together in some pattern. Probably 3 panels, unless they did the sides, so then what, like 3 to 5 panels, and the designs were probably painted on or brocaded on in some fashion. There's evidence to suggest that satin stitching, I'll pull up an example right here. I think this is a good example of satin stitching. If you can tell, I don't know, this is what the beauty bloggers do, right? Satin stitching, damask, I think it's called. I'm still pretty new at this. Was a technique that was being used by people before the arrival of the Spanish. So it's possible that that was brocaded or embroidered on the material in some way. Painting seems possible, but maybe not as likely. I have to test it. I'm going to try to recreate this robe though, and I'm going to try to do it in the manner of the Maya before the arrival of the Spanish. So trying to keep as close to the materials as possible. Luckily for us, for me, metal needles were a thing. A lot of people, I guess, don't know that metalworking was a thing. They had gold jewelry, they had copper jewelry, everything. They just didn't make it into weaponry. Obsidian is much sharper, and they weren't quite as obsessed with war as I think the Spanish wanted you to believe. Yes, Becca, yes, Becca, sí, I am thinking I'm going to do an indigo dye, and I've seen some really great vendors on Etsy that are selling indigo dye, so I'm gonna try to get one of those. And we're gonna dye the fabric in the way it would have been dyed, with indigo from Central America. I think I'm going to try to brocade the designs on there. I'm feeling ambitious. We'll see how this goes. This is the whole point of documenting this. I've already kind of started. This is one of the sleeves I've been working on. So the stitching techniques would have been a lot of running stitches. So that's kind of what I started to do. Some running stitches. I kind of cheated and did a little bit of like a running back stitch type deal just because I need to make the seams a little stronger. I got this material, Goodwill. It was a bed sheet. But it's a great material for a practice run. I started doing some herringbone stitches because this is something I found from a lot of the items of clothing that I've collected. Herringbone, I guess, was a thing. I'm not entirely sure how modern that is or how pre-Hispanic that is. I'm gonna try it on. I'm gonna try on at least the part that I have made, so we can kind of see what it looks like. Can you see it? Okay. I'm gonna make it clear that I've never made a pattern before and I didn't base it off of anything, so it's becoming more of a kimono jacket type deal because I do want to be able to wear it eventually. This is the practice run. You're gonna see all the stitches, you're gonna see all the faults. My grandma taught me how to sew when I was really young, so I have some foundation, but I'm completely new at this. This is the overall shape it's gonna go. I have a little lapel here with my little herringbone stitches. I think that's what it's called. I don't actually know, but you can see the whole thing. I mean, it goes down to... I kind of look like her, don't I? Wait, how's it go? You can see my sleeve is pretty boxy. I'm keeping it like a kimono jacket type deal. Here's the seams up here. That's why I think it was at least 5 panels. Unless they didn't do this part, then it just would have been all one. I just feel like that's harder. Sorry, Vicky. So that's my practice run so far. I don't know how far we're gonna get into this. This is gonna be a fun run. In the future, I'm looking at my little statuette here. I got him on a little doll stand, but he's wearing this capelet that I've seen in a lot of Western Mexico, Jalisco, Nayarit area with warriors that carried clubs. So I'm assuming it's something sturdy and for protection of some kind. Maybe made of leather, maybe some kind of hardened cotton. I know that the quilted cotton top was a thing whose name I forget because it's in Nahuatl and I haven't memorized all the words. But that's it for now. I'll probably show a little bit of my process and we'll keep moving on from there. As soon as I finish the jacket, we'll go on to the final product. I'll order the indigo and we'll see how it goes. Real indigo, you guys, not the fake stuff. Thank you. Becca thanks you. And we'll see you guys next time. Say bye. Say bye. Oh. Sorry. Oh wait, that's not the end. After realizing that absolutely nothing happened in this video, I decided I'm gonna go to JOANN's to find my cotton fabric. Probably a muslin. We're gonna find out. Oh. Where's the cotton? I ended up finding the fabric, and lo and behold, to my luck, thank you, JOANN's, 50% off. However, despite this being cotton, it was still, you know, a little pricey, and it was a linen blend. I want cotton. So I kept looking, but I passed the embroidery section on the way there, and I picked out these two colors. It's a nice orange and red, just like in the Calakmul robe, and it goes great against indigo. And behold my haul that I will now go into more depth when I reach my house. So this is my JOANN's haul. I got some embroidery thread because I wanted to test my original theory that maybe it was embroidered or brocaded. However, I feel like that's going to be really time consuming and hard to do. So I'm going to test it. And if it doesn't go well, it was a fun experiment. I've also got this little fabric quarter. It's indigo-ish. So this will be perfect to test my embroidery on, but also to test some painting. My other option was that the designs were painted onto the fabric. So I decided, you know what, let's try to get the closest colors I could find to the embroidery thread, which was maroon and terracotta, which I think might work. The color's a little off in here, but this one's a lot more orange and this one's a lot more red than it's showing. I also got this textile medium that you're supposed to mix with the acrylic so that it becomes really malleable and it'll be perfect for fabric. So that's how you turn acrylic paint into fabric paint, basically, with this textile medium. I mean, these were like $1, so it's great. These were like 50 cents, which your boy's working on budget. And these were on sale. So I got a thing of muslin. To kind of explain, muslin is basically just cotton thread fabric. This is unbleached. It's even a little textured, which I thought was perfect because that's exactly what kind of material I would assume would have been used, was a cotton fabric. It's not quite as sheer as the original, but honestly, I think I like that better as a wearable item. This was on sale for $3 a yard, and it came in 30 by 90 inches, so it's going to be a little bit weird to work with that, but we'll see. I also got this as a backup, which I thought was really nice. It's a little bit more blue. It's a vintage cotton fabric style, which is a lot more sheer than the muslin is, and a lot more flowy. So, I mean, sheer, quote unquote. But it's really soft, and it would make a great garment piece, whereas I feel like the muslin is a little bit more structured. So depending on how this turns out, I want to start with the muslin first and then maybe keep this as a future project. But if the muslin just doesn't work out, I have a backup. And this one won't look bad when it's dyed indigo. This is kind of how the top and bottom's going to look. The bottom strip's going to remain undyed while the top part's going to be dyed with indigo, which is somewhat what this will look like. So it won't look bad. It'll look really nice on that one. They're both going to look good no matter what. Let's see how this goes.